In the quiet town of Ypsilanti, Michigan, a chilling story unfolded over 25 years. It's a tale of two women who loved the same man, a man who may have been a monster hiding in plain sight. This is the story of Gregory Agnew and the two women whose lives he changed forever, Tammy Niver and Martha Agnew. Our story begins on a warm summer night in August 1993. Tammy Niver, a 24-year-old mother of two, vanished without a trace. She had just broken up with her boyfriend, Gregory Agnew, and moved out of their shared apartment. Tammy was diabetic and needed her insulin regularly. When she didn't show up to pick up her kids the next day, her friends and family knew something was terribly wrong. The police found the borrowed car parked on a busy street in Ypsilanti. The keys were in the ignition, and Tammy's purse was on the passenger seat. Her insulin was still in the purse, which worried everyone who knew about her diabetes. Gregory Agnew told police that Tammy had come by their old apartment around 2:15 a.m. to pick up some clothes and kitchen stuff. He said they talked for a bit, and then she left. He claimed it was all very friendly, but Tammy's sister Christina later told a different story. She said Tammy had been scared of Gregory in the weeks before she vanished. Tammy told her, "If anything happens to me, Greg did it." Christina felt guilty for years that she hadn't taken her sister's fears more seriously. As days turned into weeks, Tammy's family and friends searched everywhere. They walked through the woods, looked in ditches, and passed out flyers all over town. Tammy's mom appeared on local TV begging for information. The whole community got involved, but no trace of Tammy was ever found. The police questioned Gregory Agnew several times. They searched the apartment he'd shared with Tammy, but they couldn't find any solid proof that he'd done anything wrong. However, the whole apartment reeked of bleach, especially the bathroom. They also found full garbage bags and a shovel just hanging out in the hallway. Not exactly your typical decor. But wait, it gets worse. After Tammy vanished, Agnew apparently couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told a buddy he'd made that disappear, and even went into detail about how to kill someone and cover it up. However, Gregory kept insisting he still had nothing to do with Tammy's disappearance. Years went by. Tammy's case went cold, but her family never stopped looking for answers. Her kids grew up with a big hole in their lives, always wondering what happened to their mom. Then, about 10 years after Tammy disappeared, Martha McGeorge entered the picture. Martha's connection to Tammy ran much deeper than casual acquaintances. They weren't just two moms who'd exchanged pleasantries at the grocery store or school pickup. When Tammy vanished, Martha stepped up in a major way that showed the true depth of their relationship. After Tammy's disappearance, Martha didn't just babysit occasionally. She took on full guardianship of Tammy's children for a solid 3 months. At first, Martha wanted to help solve the mystery. She went to the police and offered to wear a hidden microphone to try and get Gregory to confess. The police were excited about this idea, but then something strange happened. Martha and Gregory started dating. Nobody could believe it. Here was this woman who had been friends with Tammy, now dating the main suspect in her disappearance. Tammy's family was furious. They felt betrayed. Over time, Martha stopped helping the police. She said she believed Gregory was innocent. In 2014, Martha and Gregory got married. But this wasn't your typical walk down the aisle for love and companionship. No, Martha's motivation was far more practical and, frankly, unsettling. She married Gregory so she could claim spousal privilege, which would protect her from being forced to testify against him. This decision speaks volumes about the pressure Martha must have been feeling and the lengths she was willing to go to avoid further police scrutiny. It also raises questions about what Martha might have known or suspected about Tammy's disappearance. But things weren't as good as they looked from the outside. In late 2017, Gregory filed for divorce. He accused Martha of cheating on him, which she strongly denied. Martha moved out of their house and into a small apartment. The marriage didn't put an end to the police's interest, though. In January 2018, when cops got wind that Martha and Gregory were heading for divorce, they reached out to her again. Martha immediately told Gregory about this contact, which set off a tense exchange between them. Gregory pushed Martha to keep quiet and not let the police into their house. When Martha told him she'd reassured the cops that the divorce had nothing to do with Tammy's disappearance, Gregory's response was a skeptical, "Yeah, right." Then came the shocking news on February 17th, 2018. Martha's daughter went to check on her mom when she didn't show up to babysit the grandkids. She found Martha dead in her bed, wrapped up in a blanket. At first, it looked like Martha might have died from health problems or maybe an accidental drug overdose, but the police weren't so sure. They noticed some things that didn't add up. The crime scene looked too clean. There were signs that someone had tried to wipe away evidence, and the way Martha's body was positioned seemed weird, like someone had moved her after she died. The cops took a closer look at Gregory Agnew. This time, they found what they thought was strong evidence. There was DNA at the scene that probably came from Gregory. The autopsy showed that Martha had been strangled, then injected with drugs to make it look like an overdose. In July 2018, just 5 months after Martha died, the police arrested Gregory Agnew for murder. The arrest made big news in Ypsilanti. The trial kicked off in summer 2019, and man, you couldn't get a seat in that courtroom for love or money. Everyone and their brother wanted to see how this would play out. They were all hoping to finally get some answers about Martha, and maybe even figure out what the hell happened to Tammy all those years ago. As the case unfolded, we got to see a whole different side of Gregory. The mask came off, and underneath was one nasty piece of work. The DA laid it all out. Gregory was a control freak who'd fly off the handle if a woman so much as thought about leaving him. Gregory Agnew displayed several concerning personality traits and behaviors. He reportedly told Tammy Niver he would kill her if she ever left him. This suggests he was extremely possessive and viewed his partners as property. Multiple witnesses recounted Gregory talking about methods of killing people and hiding bodies. This indicates he frequently fantasized about violence. There's mention of a domestic dispute with Martha, where Gregory was yelling about having loaded guns in the house, suggesting he had a volatile temper. He apparently married Martha to prevent her from testifying against him, showing he was willing to manipulate relationships for his own benefit. The evidence suggests he carefully staged Martha's murder scene to look like an overdose, indicating a capacity for premeditation and deception. His alleged involvement in the disappearances of 2 women points to a profound lack of empathy or regard for human life. Both Tammy's disappearance and Martha's murder seemed linked to Gregory's fear of losing control over these women as they were trying to leave him. Despite these dark tendencies, he was able to maintain relationships and apparently present a different face to the world for many years. Overall, the picture that emerges is of a deeply troubled individual with violent tendencies who's skilled at hiding his true nature from people in his life. His actions suggest someone driven by a need for control and willingness to resort to extreme violence when that control was threatened. They kept bringing up Tammy's disappearance, saying it fit the pattern. Gregory's lawyer fought like hell to keep Tammy out of it, said it wasn't fair to dredge up ancient history. But once that can of worms was open, there was no closing it. The parade of witnesses was something else. Cops looking grim as they described the crime scene. Lab geeks going on about DNA this and DNA that. Blood evidence was found in various rooms of the house where Martha's body was discovered. DNA testing showed the blood belonged to Martha. A syringe found near Martha's body contained DNA from both Agnew and Martha. Agnew's DNA was found under Martha's fingernails, and Martha's DNA was found on a jumpsuit Agnew had been wearing. It was a damning collection of forensic evidence that seemed to point squarely at Agnew as the prime suspect in Martha's murder. The medical examiner laying out exactly how Martha died. That was rough to hear. But the real kicker, the woman who dated Gregory before. One of them got up there, shaking like a leaf, and told the whole courtroom how Gregory had nearly killed her when she tried to break things off. She said she was lucky to be alive. Makes you wonder how many others there might have been. You gotta feel for Gregory's stepkids. Can you imagine growing up thinking this guy's your dad, then finding out he might be a stone-cold killer? Gregory's stepdaughter Kristen said it best. "It's like I lost both my parents on February 17th. Talk about having your world turned upside down. When the jury came back with that guilty verdict, it hit like a ton of bricks. Life in prison, no chance of ever seeing daylight again." Martha's family was relieved, but you could see the pain in their eyes. They talked about how much she loved to read, how she made the best banana pudding you've ever tasted, how she doted on those grandkids of hers. Her sister called her a gem, said they missed her every single day, and it's always the little things that get you. Tammy's family, they were in a weird spot. On one hand, they were glad Gregory was locked up for good. On the other, they still didn't have any real answers about what happened to Tammy. Her sister Christina summed it up pretty well. "It's bittersweet. We're happy he can't hurt anyone else, but we still don't know where Tammy is. Gotta be hell, living with that kind of uncertainty." This whole mess changed Ypsilanti. People started looking at their neighbors differently, wondering what kind of secrets they might be hiding. The women's shelter in town got flooded with calls. Like Gregory's conviction gave people the courage to speak up about their own situations. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they're the guy next door, the one you wave to when you're mowing the lawn. It shows how important it really is to listen when someone says they're scared, when they reach out for help. We've all got to look out for each other. If anything good can come out of this nightmare, maybe it's that people will be more aware, more willing to step up when something doesn't seem right. The scars from all this might never fully heal, but maybe, just maybe, they can push us to do better, to be better.